Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. This is an updated presentation from www.central-mosque.com on the issue of NRC, the Muslims of Assam, and the Muslims of Bangladesh. I've tried to condense the information, made the narrative a little bit tighter so it's easier to understand in light of some feedback and questions that I've received from the previous presentation. So while the world attention is focused on Kashmir, the issue of Assam has been going on just about as long as Kashmir since the independence of India, but there hasn't been that much focus by Muslims and the world media from the outside. So let's talk about this. Before we dive into the issue, here's a little table about the percentage of Muslim population in various Indian states. We're going to ignore Lakshadweep for a minute because this isn't a state of India. It's a bunch of islands. It's a union territory, so we can ignore that. Kashmir, as most Muslims know, is the highest percentage of Muslims of any Indian state in India. It is followed by Assam. So these issues have been going on for just about as long. The population of India and the percentage of Muslims in it is around 15% according to the 2015 census. If you look at the states with the largest percentage of Muslim populations, there has been some sort of riots or lynchings, or the safety and security of Muslims are jeopardized, and it looks like there's a hidden hand behind the scenes that actually keeps stoking these states deliberately. When you look at Jammu and Kashmir, you look at Assam, you look at West Bengal, you look at UP, Uttar Pradesh, you look at Bihar, you look at Jharkhand, you look at Uttarakhand. The only state which is an exception is Kerala, which is basically an Indian state down south, because the population demographics and the percentage of Hindus and the kind of Hindus is a little bit different. So I just wanted to point this out. So you look at Jammu and Kashmir, we all know what's going on in Kashmir. I've done various videos of it. The next in line is Assam. Now, if you look at the map of India, you've got Jammu and Kashmir on top, you've got Assam here, and then you have Gujarat. We all know about the riots and what's going on in Gujarat. Narendra Modi happens to be from Gujarat. And this is down south. So this is where Muslims are relatively in peace. And again, because the demographics are different, the literacy rates are different, and so on and so forth. Otherwise, this fire of anti-Muslim lynchings, killings, etc., is pretty much rampant in the corners of India right here. Even in the states in the middle are not safe. But I just wanted to point this out. This is Kashmir, this is Assam, which we're going to talk about, and this is Gujarat, and this is down south. So let's now dive into the issue. So since the independence of India, and this isn't just exclusive to BJP, the Indian government in every, or the Indian political parties in every single election since the 1950s keep bringing up the issue of basically Bangladeshi Muslims. At that time, before Bangladesh, it was Bengali Muslims infiltrating the state of Assam, and they keep making this a headline issue to grab the votes of the Hindus in Assam. It's a ridiculous assertion because if you look at the geography, the border between Assam and Bangladesh is only 163 miles. That's 89 miles of land border and 75 miles of river border. Considering India has one of the largest land army in the world, how difficult do you think it is to secure a 163-mile border? It's ridiculous. It keeps getting stoked in the 50s, in the 60s, in the 70s, in the 80s, in the 90s, and in the noughties, and then in now. So because what they do is they target the Hindus of Assam, and if you look at the strategy of the white supremacists and the fascists in Europe, they keep saying that the Muslim demographic bomb, they specifically use words like that to scare people into voting, that basically the Muslim population will explode and Muslims will become a significant number or even a majority in Europe, and so on and so forth. The Hindu fascists have been doing exactly the same thing in the Indian state of Assam, whether it be local elections, national elections, regional elections, or whatever. They keep scaring people about this boogie Muslims. By the way, this Assam was part of Greater Bengal, the part of the British colonial India, and then Uh, so basically, there's a lot of similarity in culture, language, and so on. Not exactly the same, but a lot of similarity. So Muslims have been living here for hundreds of years. Some Muslims have been living there when it was part of Bengal, the Greater Bengal, which the British India created. So these guys are not refugees. They have not come here after the partition and so on. Some have maybe, but not a vast majority of it. The but the political parties, for their politics to gain the Hindu vote, keep on harping on about it, just like the white supremacists keep harping out about the Muslim numbers increasing in Europe. As far as the present government of Bangladesh is concerned, it is pretty much subservient to India. Those are not my words. That was an editorial published a couple of weeks ago in one of the Bangladeshi newspapers, because Bangladesh relies on the rivers that bring water into Bangladesh, rely on India. So India can basically not only flood Bangladesh by releasing too much water, but create a drought or famine-like conditions by withholding water. And that's been going on since 1971, since the independence of Bangladesh from Pakistan. Uh, but the government keeps saying that they have fantastic relationships with India and so on. However, from the Indian side, that is not the case. They basically treat Bangladesh as a subservient colony. So this guy, Subramaniam Swamy, he's basically saying here, this is published in a Bangladeshi newspaper, he's basically saying that India should openly annex parts of Bangladesh from Sylhet to Kulna and make it part of India. India is also making an airport at the border with Bangladesh called Agartala Airport, and basically they've run out of space and the runway needs to be extended by a few kilometers. And India is basically asking Bangladesh to give their land so they can expand the runway into Bangladesh. And what India keeps saying to Bangladesh is basically, if we extend this airport, it will bring economic prosperity to Bangladesh and so on. So they continue to treat Bangladesh as its own subservient colony. Then there's an issue of Bangladeshi children and Bangladeshi girls. So around this is an institute from Bangladesh, Bangladesh Institute of Peace and Security Studies, BIPSS. You can Google that. They did a study about trafficking of Bangladeshi children into Indian brothels. So there are 300,000 Bangladeshi children working in the brothels of India. Some estimates say that there isn't a brothel in India which does not have Bangladeshi children. So Bangladeshi children, Bangladeshi women, Bangladeshi girls, I should say, specifically have been exploited in India for decades. Now, all of this stuff, basically the Bangladeshi boogeyman in Assam, which has been created, it boiled over in 1983. So for a single day under the Indira Gandhi government, 18th of February 1983, the Indian police, the Indian state machinery stood back while the fascist Hindus roamed through villages of Muslims with machetes and guns and hacked Muslims limb by limb and burned their properties and put them inside the properties and in fact burned them alive. This is called in the history of India as a Nellie Massacre. So this girl, Makiki Kimura from Tokyo University, she actually did some research and she wrote a book about it, and it's available on Amazon, called The Nellie Massacre of 1983, Agency of Rioters. It was also acknowledged by the Indian media. The Indian Express actually reported that in one of the episodes, thousands of people died. Okay, the unofficial death toll is 5,000 or maybe as far as 10,000. This happened just over a period of 6 hours. They were Muslims. They were torn down limb to limb with machetes, right? Not a single thing has happened about this situation ever since. Why? Because from the 1950s, 60s, 70s, and 80s, the people of Assam have been told that their jobs are at risk, the economic prosperity is at risk, because these Muslims keep coming from Bangladesh, keep taking your jobs, keep taking your land, keep taking your benefits and stuff. So all of the economic indicators are in disarray because of these people who are coming in. So I keep making this point. Keep comparing the rhetoric of these fascist Hindus to what the Europeans keep saying. They also keep saying immigrants keep coming in, keep taking your job, keep taking your benefits, and so on and so forth. So there's a lot of similarity, as I've also pointed out in the previous videos, between these Hindu fascists and the white supremacist fascists. And by the way, the Hindu fascists, they also take their lead from the Aryan superiority complex that we're basically Aryans and the rest of the people are not. Now, what is NRC? So let me make this point. It's not BJP which started that. This has been ongoing since the 1950s and into the 60s and 70s, 80s, and so on and so forth. So basically, what the Indian government, because of the continuous violence, continuous excitement of hate, and so on, what they've been basically saying is we're going to create a national register of citizens of India. So we're going to do a census. We're going to check who is actually Indian and who is an outsider. However, the previous government, Congress and stuff, although Congress government started it, but they didn't have the guts to actually finish this off. BJP, the fascist Indian government, now they have a hold on the Indian government and Indian democracy. They were able to come up with this NRC. So the total population of Assam is 30.9 million. What they've now done is they've created this register and they've excluded 1.9 million people, saying that they are not the citizens of India. Some of the states, some of the stats are saying that if this continues, India will become one of the largest countries in the world with the biggest stateless population. But the BJP, the fascist right-wing government, can do that because they have a hold on the parliamentary process and they can pass any laws that they want. So this figure 1.9 is humongous in a state of 30.9 million people. However, Muslims and Hindus are both not satisfied about it. So if you look at the so-called secular media of India, they keep saying that, look, both in Muslims and Hindus are not happy with it. However, when you delve down into why Muslims and Hindus are not happy, it's a very alarming situation. Muslims are obviously not happy because majority of these 1.9 million who've been excluded are Muslims. So obviously Muslims are not happy. The reason Hindus are not happy is because they're openly saying that this 1.9 million figure is too low. B, what they're saying is some of the Hindus have been caught in it. What they want to do basically, the entire plan of the right-wing fascist Hindu government is to create a Hindu state within India. In order for them to do that, they want to exclude. So BJP is openly saying that they want to have a recount because they believe this figure is too low and there's some Hindus caught in it. So they're basically openly saying, this Assam minister, he's openly saying that basically this will damage its campaign against illegals from Bangladesh as well as its plans to protect Bengali-speaking Hindu migrants. So what happens is the people who are migrating from Bangladesh, so Bangladesh obviously has about 10% Hindu population and it borders along that region. So what they want to do is if you're coming from Bangladesh and you happen to be illegal, if you're Hindu, that's okay, we'll take you. If you're Muslim, we will target you, we will deport you back. Now, all of these 1.9 million who are no longer Indian citizens, there's no way Bangladesh will take them because Bangladesh does not have the resources to feed these 2 million people. As I keep saying, and I've been saying it for over a decade, the Muslims of India are in grave danger. If you look at the situation in Burma and Myanmar in the 1980s, what they did is they created citizenship based on religion. So thousands of Muslims, in fact, Muslims who actually participated in the independence of Myanmar, Burma, and were part of the civic society and so on, all of a sudden became disenfranchised and became second-class citizens. In India, Muslims are not minority. Muslims are a disadvantaged minority. Every economic metric that you look at associated with civic society, Muslims are doing bad. They're doing bad in education. They're doing bad in higher education. They're doing bad in businesses, in jobs, everything else. 1 in 4 beggars in India is a Muslim. So what the BJP want to do and have always wanted to do since 1926, before the partition of India, is to create a Hindu majority India or a Hindu state, a Hindu Rashtra. Let me not say Hindu majority because they're already Hindu majority, a Hindu state. So what they want to do is relegate Muslims to an absolute abject level. And this is what's happening in Assam. So Assam is like a petri dish of experimentation, what they're trying to do. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect the Muslims of India, as I've said this before. And it isn't BJP which started it, so you can't say that it's just BJP which is about that. It's been going on since independence. It's BJP is the only one which had the guts to follow through, come up and exclude 1.9 million of its own citizens, and now they're saying that does not go far enough, and we should go far enough, and we should exclusively target Muslims based on their religion. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect all the brothers and sisters in India. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.